First tonight, a wet start to December. As we go to air, Sydney is being lashed with heavy rain for the fifth day in a row. The storm held off until late this afternoon and is now impacting the city and western suburbs, while the south coast is bracing for flash flooding.
In Sydney's rapid-fire storms, this is how quickly things become treacherous.
Oh my God!
This driver was travelling yesterday along Lane Cove Road. This afternoon, the storms came from the north, moving down Sydney's western edge and into the suburbs. The streets of Liverpool became swimming pool as shoppers got caught in the teeth of a stormy blast. You had to move fast to get out of the deluge, which reached under the verandas, overwhelmed the roof, and suddenly inside became outside. Just as hard for the professionals as the downpour hit Olympic Park and the V8 supercars. The safety car was brought out, too much water on the track, and competitors simply couldn't see.
This is extreme. Word just in from race control that this will be a suspended race.
These steamy days and stormy afternoons, the kind of conditions we normally see in February.
It's fairly unusual to see such a long string of days, one after the other, of showers and thunderstorms each afternoon and evening.
Yesterday's system flashed across the city at around 50 kilometres an hour, headed by those distinctive anvil cloud fronts, a sign of the changing winds as the system rises up into the atmosphere, soaked full of moisture from the tropical north.
Moisture's been lifted out of the Tasman and the Coral Sea, and it's feeding into the atmosphere, and these thunderstorms release that in their downpours.
Blue and green colours above signalling hail. The city copped between 4,000 and 5,000 lightning strikes as it went through, but without the strong winds to do too much damage. Whoa! The rain coming in intense bursts, Horsley Park has now copped 90 millimetres over the past few days. After a week of changing weather comes a new forecast for Sydney's future, a state government report on the impact of climate change in coming decades. With predictions, climate change is set to see the city's average temperatures rise 0.7 degrees by 2030, up more than 2 degrees by 2070. In Western Sydney, the number of days over 35 degrees will go from up to 20 days a year now to up to 30 days in 2030 and up to 40 days a year in 2070. Predictions are there will be more extreme fire days in spring and summer, and rainfall patterns will change. Less in spring, more in autumn. Rain days will be fewer, but the falls heavier. The more immediate forecast, more rain, and the risk of storms most of the coming week. Paul Caddick, 7 News.
Typhoon Apocalyptic moving through the Philippines. Some very heavy rain, some squally weather, dangerous stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Right now it's estimated to have winds of about 25, but Mark, nobody really knows for sure how strong those winds are. Those are estimated by satellites.
And it's a decent estimate, and using models and those satellite imagery, we can kind of piece together where this storm system is going to go. And one thing to notice here is that the circulation and that kind of buzzsaw appearance doesn't really break up. If anything, it slows down as it moves through these islands.
Yeah, that's going to prolong the hazards with this thing because, right? I mean, if you have a 75 mile per hour wind for 1 hour, that's one thing. But if it goes for 4 or 5 hours, that's another. And this is going to be one of those situations where, Sunday evening, Manila could get into some pretty bad weather. And that's a very highly populated area of the Philippines. So we're just going to have to watch this closely because even though it's weakening, it's still got a lot of hazards.
It's around midnight now. The team has finally all assembled together here in Manila. We've flown in from all parts of the world, from Seoul, Tokyo, Hong Kong.
We got enough water, enough food, hopefully, for the first 3 days or so. We stuck up in the car.
Great. So we'll split up and hit the roads.
Yeah.
Great.
We drove through the night. It's a 15-hour journey. There's no highway. 2 drivers per van taking turns at the wheel.
Now this is one of the areas where a storm warning is placed. The wind has really picked up. The sea is looking incredibly powerful right now. And we've just seen all of these houses here. They're makeshift homes right by the beach. And I just keep wondering, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Because they haven't moved yet.
Authorities tell CNN more than 500,000 people have so far been evacuated from potential storm-affected areas. Lessons learnt after more than 6,000 people died in Typhoon Haiyan last year. I think we can handle the situation, this man tells me. If or when it gets worse, we'll go to the evacuation centre.
25 years now.
We've been here 25 years and seen many typhoons, she says. This one already feels stronger than Typhoon Haiyan, but we won't leave yet. They're leaving this till the last minute. They've seen it all before, they say. These children playing so close to the water. too young to comprehend the danger of what may come. These fishermen, too, taking their chances for their catch. And yet, just a few kilometers further down on our journey, waves beginning to lash the land as Typhoon Hagupit approaches, its full power still unfolding.
Typhoon Hagupit has made landfall in the eastern Philippines, the same region that was devastated by a massive typhoon 1 year ago. The country's weather agency says Hagupit hit the Philippines with maximum sustained winds of just under 110 miles per hour and gusts of up to 130 miles per hour. An estimated 650,000 people have fled to safety, and the country's military has gone on full alert to deal with the weather emergency. The high winds and heavy rains forced dozens of domestic flights to be canceled, and the Philippines' inter-island ferry services have been suspended. More than half the country's provinces are considered potentially at high risk from the storm. Ned Barker, The Associated Press.
Our residents in the Philippines this morning are bracing for a massive storm heading straight for the island nation. 500,000 people have already fled the area. While preparations are underway for a landfall later today with a storm this large, at this point there may be little that people can do to get out of its way. Dylan is tracking it all for us. Dylan, this is a massive, massive system.
It is a huge storm system. It's no longer a super typhoon, though, so naturally the storm is weakening. It's the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane right now, and it is expected to make landfall, then work its way through the Philippine Islands. We're in Manila. We're expecting this storm to arrive by Monday. Here is the good thing. Once it starts to move over land, it is going to continue to weaken. So it is not looking like it is going to be bringing that extreme damage we saw from Haiyan just last year. And as it weakens down to a Category 2 on Sunday and then passes just to the south of Manila in the Philippines early Monday morning with winds at 85 miles per hour. Now, there is a lot of rain with this storm, so we are certainly going to see the potential for flooding, but wind damage shouldn't be as significant as originally thought now that this storm is going to continue to weaken. It is still a powerful hurricane, though, or a typhoon in that part of the world, and that's something we'll be focusing on. Lester?
All right, Dylan, thanks.
The strongest storm of the year anywhere on the planet is zeroing in on the Philippines, and we're talking about Super Typhoon Hagupit.
Tom Sater is here to tell us all about it and why it is so dangerous. And you were just saying during the break there, maybe they could get lucky in Tacloban. Well, lucky is.
Yeah, they're not in the clear. They're not in the clear, but it's trending a little north of Tacloban, which would put the storm surge, the stronger winds north of them. They're still going to see damage. The problem is we're not sure where landfall's going to be. We've never seen a system like this where we can't really nail it down just yet because we can't find any steering currents.
Is this bigger than Haiyan?
No, but it's pretty close, and it's the strongest since Haiyan. So everybody needs to know that. Evacuations have got to take place, and the problem is it's such a large area of the coastline, about 160 to 200 kilometers. That's a lot of evacuations. And you can't just jump on a car and get down the highway. Let's talk about it, because this is a beast of a storm. It's going to affect a lot of people. In fact, thousands and thousands are living in fear right now. Can you imagine the agony and the frustration? First of all, you're recouping just 13 months after 7,000 lives were lost, and you've been working all year long to try to get your life back together in your home, and you've got another storm system. Here's the path of Haiyan, down to the south in blue. This is now what we're thinking could be a closer path, which has really jumped quite a bit. This is 160 kilometers to the north. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center's now path is moved on land. Remember, the last couple of days, they've kept it offshore. Notice Manila, that's midday Tuesday. Possibly late next week, it's Vietnam. The system has lost its eye, which means it's undergoing a little rebuilding process. When they lose their eye, they lose a little bit of strength, but that eye is going to come back, and it's going to intensify again. Look at the wind gusts, 325 kilometers per hour. Haiyan made landfall with 380 kph winds. Think about it this way. It's such a large storm, it doesn't matter where the landfall is going to be, because we're going to see a mess in a lot of places. Northern island of Samar is where we're looking at landfall. Again, Joint Typhoon Warning Center brings it on land, but there is a variety of models that are still in total disagreement. You look at Beijing's or South Korea or Taiwan. In blue is Japan, closer to Tacloban. We have models ourselves here in the CNN World Weather Center that drive it down to the south, so you're not in the clear yet. In white is Pagasa. That is the National Weather Agency for the Philippines. They bring it in about 6 p.m. Saturday evening, and we pretty much agree with that. Joint Typhoon Warning Center Sunday morning around 1 in the morning. Already signal 1 in yellow, signal 2. This is kind of like a beware or a watch. We're looking at a strength right now equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. So again, these are going to become level signals 3 and 4 as the storm gets a little bit closer. Let me show you a history of December storms. Washi was a tropical storm. All right, in 2011, it killed 1,200 people. A tropical storm of flooding. Bopa, the very first super typhoon to ever make landfall in Mindanao in 2012 in December, killed 1,100, and over 8,000 families were left to find some help. So we're watching Hagabit. So again, as we continue to watch the storm system, the eye will redevelop. It will re-strengthen. We do believe north of Tacloban on Samar Island, but it's going to be Legazpi. It's going to be several landfalls as it makes its way west.
And you were saying, I mean, this is some of the warmest waters in the world, which will fuel the strength of this typhoon.
And we have seen one year after another, the storms are getting stronger.
Because the water's getting warmer.
And it's deeper heat.
Which is climate change.
That's
3 to 4 meters, did you say the storm?
At least meter. We had 5 meters with Haiyan, so we're dropping down maybe a meter.
Right.
It's amazing. Got to get off the coast.
230 kilometer an hour wind? Is that what you said?
Well, gusts right now with about 350.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing.
Greek protesters in Athens vent their frustration. Thousands take to the streets to mark the anniversary of a 2008 police shooting that left a 15-year-old boy dead. The shooting had led to the worst riots in Greece in decades. Some 8,000 police were deployed on Saturday, hoping to avert the street violence that has followed previous protest marches, but it wasn't meant to be. It had started peacefully enough. Protesters marched through the streets of Athens, saying the young generation is simply fed up with the system. This man says the state is trying to kill an entire generation. Protesters were also showing their support for a jailed young anarchist who's demanding access to university classes. But the unrest really reflects a wider climate of discontent. Economic austerity measures have already piqued public anger as families struggle with joblessness, poverty, and taxes.
Walk with me a little bit. You can see that this is a very peaceful crowd, but the reason I want to walk through is you can see it's actually a very diverse crowd. A lot of the people who are here, you can see some of these faces. I mean, they're very young people, very diverse, and they have been here since 1:30 this afternoon walking through the streets of Chicago. And what they're trying to do is hit all the different, and we're walking, they're trying to hit the different intersections of the city. They are doing something a little bit differently than they did yesterday. Yesterday we noticed that they were trying to block the streets, block the roadways. Today they're walking through the streets, trying to basically take up most of the sidewalk. You can see how wide the sidewalk is, and I want you to take a look and listen to what they're saying. Hands up, don't shoot is what you're hearing in all the other cities across the U.S.
The goal here, of course, is to disrupt. They want to disrupt to bring attention to their cause, which is to end racial injustice. They want law enforcement and the justice system to treat everyone equally. I spoke with a young woman who arrived here just by chance. She came at the spur of the moment, was riding the bus, and saw this protest happening, got off the bus and said she had to join. Why did she have to join? She said as a young black woman, she can relate to the criminalization of young black men. She's angry about it. She says that too often people in the black community have said, don't make noise, don't rock the boat. And she said it's time to make noise to make a change. She's glad that people are out here taking this action, and she believes that bringing attention to this cause will actually bring change. So that's why people are out here tonight. Some joined through social media. That's why they came out. Others just happened upon the scene, and we're hearing a lot of the chanting saying, get off the street, get off the sidewalks, into the streets, join us. And so that's what we've been seeing here tonight.
I know inside Macy's, right?
Inside Macy's, if you can believe it. Take a look at what's happening. Same thing we saw at the Apple Store. Protesters walked right into the middle of Macy's, more than 100 of them, now staging one of those die-ins right in the middle of the store here. As you can imagine what's happening here. A lot of managers came to the front. Police allowed them to come inside, stage their staging, just like we saw at the Apple Store. An incredible moment when you consider what's been happening here. Huge shopping season here, so you can imagine. Right in the middle, die-in happening as we speak. Aaron?
It is stunning to see what we're seeing. I think Jason is telling everyone it's stunning. I just want to emphasize for those of you watching around the country, it is stunning. You were talking about a department store in the center of New York in the middle of shopping season with thousands of people going in and staging a die-in, and it's peaceful. It's an incredible moment to behold. All right, we're going to be back in just a moment.
We talked about the nonstop rains on the West Coast earlier this week. Unfortunately, those rains just a drop in the bucket for many folks. California is still dealing with its worst drought in 1,200 years. Many people there are being told to conserve water wherever and however they can. The situation, though, is even worse for residents in one particular town who are now living without any water at all. The Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff has their story.
We just didn't realize how much of a blessing a hot shower is.
Free hot showers at the church is just one new reality for California families like the Blackburns.
It's rough that a lot of people wouldn't understand that. Yeah.
Why it's necessary to have such things.
Just down the road, wells are drying up. These are donated pumps and tanks. Crews can't hook them to homes fast enough.
My name's Yolanda Serrato, and I ran out of water since mid-July.
It all started last year when this house ran out of water, then Yolanda's, and then this house. But not all the houses are dry. This house and this house still have water. Their wells are deeper.
If they have a deeper well, they still have water.
This cube doesn't look like it's a lot of water.
It's not.
Once a week, the city of Porterville, about an hour south of Fresno, delivers 300 gallons each to these homes. Community leaders estimate as many as 5,000 people may have run out of water in this county alone.
When I run out of water on my tank, I have to get a bucket of water from the neighbors to use the toilet. That's the way we're doing the things right now.
Yolanda's son is filling the shower bucket. It's a sponge bath every day.
Warm up the water in the stove, and I pour it on the orange bucket there.
Those pumps keep coming. They can't move. Who's going to buy a house with no water? And it's $12,000 to dig a deeper well. Even harder to explain it to their friends.
Come live it. You won't like it. I mean, we have no choice but to live it. Whoever has water here in this neighborhood is at the jackpot.
For today, Dave Malkoff in California's Central Valley.